So we do 3 deep breaths. Do you want eyes open, eyes closed?
I'll keep them open.
Okay, cool. I'll follow you then. Lovely. So who are you, what do you do, and where are you from?
My name is Stefanie Sword-Williams. I'm the founder and author of Fuck Being Humble. I'm a public speaker, an author and a business owner. And I am from Leeds, originally in the north of England.
Love it. Very good. And what does living a good life mean to you?
I think living a good life for me is centred around freedom. So I really realised through a mixture of life experiences, I don't like to be held down. I don't like to feel trapped or like I can't make my own decisions about the direction that I want to go in.
Yeah.
And I give a lot to people, so I need that space to be able to decide how and where I give it.
Yeah.
I realised recently with a friend that over-giving is one of my problems, and that naturally comes from people-pleasing, wanting to impress people, how do you feel about yourself? And actually what freedom allows me is to be really present in the moments that I need to be, but I'm not over-committing to being everywhere all at once, or making myself readily available to everyone. And that's something that is, protecting boundaries. It also means that I am pursuing what I want to pursue when it's happening in the moment. So we got served our notice on our apartment not long ago, and our landlord gave us 7 weeks to move out, and I was really upset. And then I looked at my fiance, I was like, should we just move to Paris? And in 7 weeks we moved to Paris because we didn't own a house, we had no commitments. And I think, especially in the UK, the culture can make you feel like you have to be tied down. You need to, not tied down, you need to commit to mortgages, you need to commit to things that can lead to you feeling trapped.
Yeah.
And I was actually talking to my partner about this, how I don't think we should get mortgages until we find our dream career or the thing that we know we want to do for the rest of our lives, because so many of us tap into society's expectations and then we feel trapped, and then we lose any sense of freedom in decision making. So I think freedom of how I spend my time, who I spend it with, but also on how I make decisions for my future is one of the best things I can do to live a happy life.
Yeah, I love it, thank you. And what about an intentional activity? Which ones had the greatest impact on your life?
So this year I've been dealing with something quite difficult, and on the days that I was really struggling, I really didn't necessarily want to go to work, because my job is to be a motivational speaker. It's to stand on stages, to ignite crowds, to get them excited. And there would be days where I would be crying all day, and then I'd have to go speak on a stage to 350 people and do it. And there's no one else in my company, so if I don't do it, I lose the revenue, I could lose parts of my reputation, all these things. And although it needed all my energy to get there, within like 10 minutes of being on stage, I just felt instantly alive. And it was that connection of helping me to experience something that was bigger than myself. Because when we stay in states of pain, upset, depression, anxiety, any of these spaces, we're so often feeling the insular weight that we're struggling with. But literally because of my work, I was not forced, but I had committed to things that meant that I did have to show up. And even though I'd come back exhausted, because I do, because it just is, whether I feel great or not, it's like it gave me that sense of purpose and sense to continue going with things on days that were really difficult. So definitely connection, definitely activities that zoom out of my immediate world and give to others, because my experience is not the only experience. And that's not to disregard my experience, but not being controlled by the experience I was in allowed me to show up for other people, and each time I was getting the strength back. And I've learned more than any year just how strong I am to work through these things. And I wouldn't have learned that had I not been through a difficult thing personally, and still continue to show up. So I think showing up for myself, showing up for other people, and doing things that are bigger than my personal problems.
Thank you so much. And what about the community? What intentional activity do you think will make the biggest difference in your community?
I think showing up even when we don't know what to do. So I've been having a discussion recently with men in my network about gender violence and asking them, you know, what would take you to stand up and do something? What would take you to start a community group or a committee? And so often, you know, men might feel like a bit hopeless. They don't know how to make the change. We often see it's like, it's not my job, it's governmental, it's you know, it's the police, it's the, you know, it's all these other things. And I would really love to see more men and any other groups of privilege look at problems as what can I do, as opposed to I can't solve it. We're not asking you to solve it, we're just asking you to positively work towards it. Jamila Jamil posted a post recently saying, why is it always women resharing stories about women in danger? Why are the men not showing up? And I had a really honest conversation with a male in my life, and I asked them, and they were like, I don't want to be resharing negative news, which I kind of understand, but I don't know what I can do. And I would just love to see it be more of a creative brief of asking yourself, what could I do in a really positive way, even if it was small steps. So I think, it's been a very me versus we mentality, which we've seen over decades changing. You know, it used to be very tribal, it was very village, it was very support one another. And I went through something personally that I didn't feel that village around me, and I would have liked it in the moment, and even more so as I processed what happened. So I think we can do more collectively than we give ourselves credit for. And you don't need to be an expert, and you don't need to have all the knowledge, and you actually don't need to have a lot of power. You just need all the money. You just need to use your mind. You need to use empathy, compassion, and actually ask yourself, you know, if my sibling was going through this, if my mum was going through this, if my friend was going through this, could you just sit and watch it? And you know, sometimes we think that news is, there's so much bad news that it becomes a bit repetitive, to be honest. But I would just love to see, I like think hubs where the best minds come together and think of small things that we could do to implement that could create a really positive change, instead of hoping that someone else will solve it, which is where I think we're at.
Thank you. And what about a one-line message of hope for the world?
You have more influence than you think.
Amazing. For a hug.
Yes.
Thank you so much, and well done today.
Thank you.
Thank you for being you, and just it's amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate your time. Thank you. Oh, that's you.